Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Selectmen's meeting to order June 11th at 6:05 p.m. I'm going to take a roll call to open the meeting. Sheila?
Here.
Pat?
Here.
Mike?
Here.
Ed not here. And of course, I'm here, I think. Anyway, this is a virtual Board of Selectmen meeting. We are using Zoom conferencing format. The agenda on the town's website has the information needed for the public to participate by Zoom conferencing format or telephone. If you wish to participate through Zoom, you can join Zoom meeting. The webinar ID is 956-2951-8393. If you wish to make a public comment and speak on the agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature by clicking participants on your computer screen. The moderator will be notified and you will identify yourself when it's your turn to comment. Item 2, approve the May 29th and June 1st Selectmen's meeting.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a first. Did I have a second?
Yes, I'm with you.
I didn't hear. Okay. Pat seconded. Okay. I'll take a roll call. Sheila?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And Alan says aye. Motion carries. Okay, public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone who wants to address the Board of Selectmen with any issue that is not on the agenda. I believe I have 2 written letters to the board. One is from a 7-year-old. I'm going to do my best to read it. It's looks like this. He did a very good job, but you have to bear with me. Dear Select Board of Kennebunkport, my name is Mackenzie, and I'm 7, and you have not recycling, and why? When we were recycling, everything went just as well. If we don't recycle, someday Earth will die and we will die with it. Things such as egg cartons, paper bags, plastic, and the stuff like that. They put flyers, I guess, and they should all be recycled. I'm writing this just because I'm concerned about Maine. I love Maine. Mackenzie. And then he says, you know that my name is Mackenzie. And it says, take care of the earth or it will look like this. I don't know whether you can see that or not. Anyway, it looks like a big mess, a big ball string or something. Well, anybody would like to answer that letter? Put on the letter?
Well, aren't we starting in January?
Yes, I believe we are, aren't we? That's the plan. Yeah, well, Mackenzie, we are going to go ahead and go, Sheila.
Your prayers have been answered.
So we are going to start recycling in January. That's our plan. And we do take your letter seriously. Thank you for writing it.
I'd like to just say that that was a great letter from a little kid.
That's right, absolutely.
And that we share his or her. Is it a he or a she?
Mackenzie, I can't answer that.
Mackenzie could be a young girl's name as well.
Correct. Yeah.
But it's a very nice letter, and the concern is real. And I hope that when we turn everything over to our children, that they do a better job than we're doing right now with recycling. Not just I don't mean it's not us, but our facilities and everything else. I don't mean us, but yep. I
bet they will.
Great letter.
I bet they will. I do. And I have another one. This one's to the Board of Selectmen and Laurie Smith, Town Manager. It was with great interest that I read Bill Case's letter in the Post, in which he proposed the Kennebunkport build at pickleball courts for its residents, like many others in the nation, that is nationwide. I've taken up the sport and love to play, but have difficulty finding outdoor venues nearby. Indoor venues are limited, even more so right now due to the coronavirus. Pickleball is a fast-growing sport, rapidly overtaking tennis in popularity due to its appeal to players of all ages and levels of ability. The pickleball, which is a wiffle ball type, makes for a slower mode of play, fewer injuries than in other paddle or racket sports, and excellent mental and physical health benefits with low impact body. This is why it is an ideal game for everyone from children to seniors. Another benefit is the friendships you form while playing at a safe social distance. I made many new friends when I played at Consolidated School over the winter. Pickleball courts are smaller than those for tennis, which is why a tennis court doesn't work for both sports, but like tennis courts, they require little ongoing upkeep and installation. I strongly support Mr. Case's proposal. In the grand scheme of things. 4-6 pickleball courts on property the town already owns would be a small investment that would provide a wonderful long-term amenity for the town's residents and will promote their well-being in the bargain. Sincerely, Rita Brown. That's a very nice letter. Any comments on the letter at all? No?
Anybody else played pickleball besides me?
I
I've never even seen a pickleball game. So
Well, it is a lot of fun. It is a way that you can be competitive and get your juices flowing and socialize and not kill yourself.
So, do you play, Pat?
No longer.
No longer, okay. But you did?
I did.
Okay. So is there anybody else who'd like to speak on anything that's not related to the agenda tonight? Okay. Andy? Okay.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Andy.
Hi there, this is Anne Marie Sweeney. Actually, Mackenzie beat me to the punch sort of on my topic about recycling. We had received the notice this week that the cardboard collection box in Dock Square would be removed in a couple of weeks. And I was wondering if there was a reason why it was being removed and if maybe we could get it relocated, if it was just a spacing issue or something, because it's definitely being used a lot. I mean, it's full. There's always somebody else there when I go there. So I know that the town must appreciate having that there. So I didn't know what your thinking was on that.
Did you want to answer that one, Laurie?
Yeah, the board and the budget committee had discussed as part of the budget process, the recycling. And one of the issues that we had with the cardboard dumpster or the communities around us are charging for cardboard disposal. And so we were noticing that we are getting contributions of cardboard that the town's paying for from abutting communities around us. And so when the budget was proposed, we were going to start recycling again on July 1st, and that would pick up recycling both for businesses as well as residents. With the onset of COVID and the re-examination of the budget with the desire to get to a 0% increase, the recycling program was postponed until January 1st. So the dumpster was not budgeted. The cost for the cardboard dumpster went from about $11,000 a year to $40,000 a year. And so that additional funding isn't in the budget.
Wow, that's a big expense. Thank you for explaining that to me. Okay, is there someplace on the website where I can find out what the recycling plan will be for January? I couldn't find anywhere on the town website.
Yeah, the recycling committee was meeting and developing an education plan, which will be coming out. And because of the postponement of the town meeting from June to July and the postponement of the recycling starting up in January, and COVID has, prevented some of our groups from meeting, but that will be starting up again soon. And they plan to have a big education effort to get people on board for January and tell you what's going to happen. Their big concern is about contamination in recycling. So that's what a lot of the education is about, what things can be recycled. And it'll be by every other week, just like it was before. It'll be picked up curbside.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I remember the presentation in January about single stream and all the different options. So that's good that we're moving forward. So I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
So Laurie, wasn't the recycling facility that was closed down temporarily because they weren't getting enough recycling? I can't remember the name of it, but I heard that on the news this morning. Have you heard anything about that?
That's up near Bangor.
Yeah, that's the new plant, and I can't remember the name of it from my top of my head, but there have been some communities that have stopped recycling because of COVID and others that kept it up. But yeah, that I think has been challenging also because the businesses, a lot of them weren't doing business. I think it has interrupted a lot of processes.
I guess they were losing money or something, but it's just temporarily closed, I believe.
So everything is going to a landfill.
Right. Yeah. Which is a shame, but
It's a shame. Yeah.
it is.
The fiber right plant, is that the one?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
The name came to me finally.
So David James had a comment. David, are you there? Your mic's.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My comments related to the same thing that Anne Marie had. I've received, since you made that announcement about discontinuing the cardboard at Dock Square parking lot, dozens of emails, some critical, some really out and out nasty about doing that. And I think you've kind of explained the issue. I'm not sure that I totally agree with it. Many of the people who emailed me said they're going to start cutting up their cardboard and putting it into the trash. They're not going to pay that additional amount to haul it up to the Kennebunk Recycling Center. I take my...
Well, obviously, it's not that important to them.
Well, I know it isn't, Sheila, but I take my bottles and other recycling stuff up there. They raise the price from $5 per bin to $7 per bin. I take 2 bins up there about every 3 weeks, $14 every 3 weeks. And now the cardboard is even a more serious increase in cost to take cardboard up there. So I think you're going to have a lot of people that start putting their cardboard in their trash. So just make you aware of that. Notice that that's the kind of feedback I'm getting from a lot of the residents.
Well, hopefully in January we'll be able to take care of this problem.
I hope so.
We're all hoping. Yeah. We're going to do our best. That's where we're headed in January. Yeah. So
Dave, you're familiar with the clink bags for returnable bottles?
Oh yeah, I take all my clink bags up there and I put them in a green bag that gives the money to the Graves Library when I take them up there.
Yeah, same here.
I'm not talking about that stuff, Mike. I'm talking about the plastic bottles and the other stuff, aluminum tin cans.
Gotcha.
Is that it, Dave?
That's it.
Can you bring Tracy O'Rourke to panelist?
Hello.
She's to go.
There
There you are.
There we
There
go.
you are.
So I just wanted to let everybody know that the absentee ballots for the July primary and annual town meeting and the school referendum question will be available next Wednesday. And in the meantime, please continue to request them online or over the phone, and we're just collecting them and putting them in the system. And once we get the ballots, we're going to mail them out. So there will be 3 or 4 ballots this year, depending on how you're registered to vote. If you are a Republican or Democrat, then you will receive a party ballot for the primary, which will include the U.S. Senator, the House of Representatives, probate, and a couple other races. So you'll get that ballot, and then you'll also get the state referendum, which has 2 bond questions. And then there will be the town ballot that has the school board race as well as the selectmen's race. And then everyone will get the budget validation ballot for the school budget, which will be approved next Tuesday night at the budget meeting. So we have lots of things going on, and I just want to encourage everyone to request their ballot, hopefully to bring down the numbers of people at the polls on election day. I know that people love to go to the polls and see everyone, but we won't have time. We won't be able to let people socialize while they're there. They're going to have to 6-foot space, which could create long lines. And you're just going to go to the ballot box, vote, and then leave immediately. There won't be any extra social time this time around, or probably in November either. So in order to keep the crowds down, we're really encouraging absentee voting. The Secretary of State's office is also encouraging absentee voting statewide. So if you would like us to mail you a ballot, please call me at 207-967-1610, or you can go to our website, and on the homepage, if you go to the important links box, it's the very first link. It says absentee ballots. Or you can also go to the town clerk's election page, and there's a link there as well. So there's all kinds of options. We would prefer that you call and request your ballot as opposed to coming into town hall, just because we're only allowing 2 people in the office at a time, and we don't want to hold up the line with absentee voting if there are other options for people to get their ballots. So hopefully we'll get a big turnout. So far, we've had about 320 requests, so that's pretty good. So
Good start.
yeah,
It
so
is.
keep requesting, and we will get them out to you next week, and hopefully we'll have a good turnout.
Well, thank you, Tracy. Is that all you have? That's enough, right?
I also, just one more thing, not related to the election. The Shellfish licenses went on sale today, and we are sold out. So if anybody was interested in the Shellfish license, they are gone. We were sold out by 11 o'clock this morning. So
Are all categories sold out?
there's one
Commercial or-
license left.
There's not what? What's that?
There's just one commercial license left. Everything
Okay.
else is gone.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and you have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, item number
Dave,
4.
can you bring Brees forward?
We're still moving on to other business?
No, well,
I
I got
mean, not
one
other business, but one more for the
public forum.
Yeah. I see his name. There he is.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Bruce.
Can you hear me?
We do.
So should I just jump in?
Yeah,
Jump
you
in.
you could introduce yourself and then
Right.
jump
All
in.
right. I'm Bruce Riegel. I'm the assistant director at Kennebunkport Parks and Recreation. I was asked to come on to talk about our drive-in series. We're going to be trying to put on some concerts on the field at Parsons Field. We're going to be trying to host those on Thursdays. It goes from 6 to 8 o'clock, and the gates open at 5. We chose this spot because of the availability of power. We didn't want to have to go out and buy a generator. And also, we got the restrooms there and concessions available. We just asked that the attendants try to pre-register online so we avoid the unnecessary contact due to the COVID-19 crisis. And our first concert is actually next Thursday around this time. So on the 18th, we're going to be hosting the Dock Squares. They're a local band. They do jazz, they do rock, and everything in between. So dancing is going to be permitted as long as you're in close proximity to your car. And again, we just ask that you guys register online at kennebunkportrec.com. And I hope to see you guys there, and I'm willing to take any questions if you have it.
I have a question.
Sure.
Softball, is that going to start June 17th? Is that correct?
It is, yeah. Softball is going to be starting.
And that's,
Go ahead.
is that at 6 o'clock?
Yeah, that's going to be at 6 o'clock. That's going to be at Parsons Field as well. It's a drop-in situation. It's free, and if you come, you get a free shirt, free hat. All the equipment's there. We're going to be wiping it down, keeping it sanitary, and that's sponsored by Port Lobster, and that's why it's free to everybody.
Great. Hey, thank you.
No,
Thank
thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.
Is that all?
That is
Lori?
it. That's it.
Okay, okay. Item 4, countersign the warrant for the RSU validation referendum warrant and notice of election. Anybody here from the RSU that wants to talk about this? Or if not, we can vote on it.
Tracy's in the background. If any of you have any questions, she would be the one to answer them.
Okay. Anybody
Is-
have any questions?
This is the one we have to sign?
Yes.
Okay.
No questions? That,
I say I ask that every year.
you do.
I
So
do.
there's, nobody has any questions?
No.
Okay. All right. Who wants to make a motion?
I do. I'll make a motion. We accept the warrant. It's written.
Mike?
Second.
Mike makes the motion, Pat seconds it. I'm gonna do a roll call. Sheila,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye, motion carries. Okay, item 5, consider application for new victuals license permit for, I guess, FIA. This is where the old business Moon Rose was. It's on the corner of Temple and Spring Street, and the staff's recommending approval of the license. I don't know too much. Is there anybody here? Is there anybody here that would like to talk about? Is the owner of FIA here on the,
If the owner
No.
of FIA is in the audience, can you raise your hand? We are not seeing anything.
okay.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mike makes the motion, Pat seconds it. Okay, Sheila?
Who knew more about it?
I don't know anything about it, I'm sorry, but the staff is reckoning it, so it's,
Aye.
Do you want
Okay.
Tracy to come forward and tell you what she knows about it, or
that would be nice, yeah. That would be good.
Dave, can you bring Tracy?
Hi again.
Hi again. So yes, they are taking over the location where Moon Rose Cafe was. And it's just a small cafe. Andrew inspected it 2 weeks ago, and he was comfortable with everything he saw. And I believe they actually have started serving because Andrew gave his approval. The fire chief approved and police as well. So that's really all I know. I just know that the department heads were comfortable with it, and they seem to have done a lot of interior work getting ready for it.
My understanding is that I've been told they have smoothies and similar kind of specialty drinks and small takeout food, similar to Moon Rose.
So
Okay.
is that, did I pronounce the name right? Is it FIA or,
Yeah, I think that's right.
okay. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Tracy.
Sure.
Okay, item 6. Consider application to renew liquor license submitted by Arundel Marine Services, DBA.
I don't know if we voted on FIA.
Oh, we did.
No,
Mike-
we-
oh,
Did you
Mike-
hear them?
Yeah.
Mike made the motion to, right?
Yeah, you had a
Yeah.
motion and second. I think you just
But we
didn't do
didn't-
the vote.
Okay, let's do the vote. I thought we did. Okay, Sheila,
aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye. The motion carries. Okay, item 6, consider application to renew liquor license submitted by Arundel Marine Service, BA Arundel Wharf Restaurant, 43 Ocean Avenue. The staff recommends approval.
So moved.
Sheila
Second.
makes a motion.
Second.
Mike seconds it. Any more discussion? Seeing none. Sheila,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye, and the motion carries. Okay, item 7, discussion of cases proposal for pickleball court. So would you let Bill?
Yeah, so Dave, can you remove Tracy and bring up Bill Case and
Bye,
Carol Cook?
Tracy. We'll see you shortly.
Carol Cook?
Hi, Carol. Hi, Bill. They're still muted.
How about now?
That's better.
Bill, can you hear us?
I can
It's
hear
all
you.
different tonight.
I do?
Okay, so by way of introduction, Bill Case had sent a proposal or had mentioned to Laurie, sent an email, whatever, a while ago about the possibility of developing some pickleball courts here in Kennebunkport. Then when he got back from Florida, he sent me an email and we got this proposal put together in terms of, I drafted the memo that you have in your packets tonight. It also, if you remember, just back in the public forum there was a letter read in support of pickleball courts by Rita Brown, who's been playing here at Consolidated this year. And so basically, Bill did some research and has come up with a proposal for, basically the reason I'm presenting it is because he presented me with about 10 pages worth of information and I condensed it down. And I'm not even going to go through all the information that was in your packet, but the proposal that he is putting forth through me, I guess, it would be at 49 Beachwood Avenue, the site of the old highway garage. And he got some prices put together. You'll see that they range from the company that had originally done the courts for us at Rotary Park. They gave an estimate between $75,000 and $90,000. Then he went from there and got individual estimates from a paving company. So Dayton Sand and Gravel said that the 60-foot by 120-foot pad, which would be enough for 4 courts, would be roughly $17,000, and then the fence to go around it would be roughly another $24,000. There'd be additional costs for the painting the surface, for the posts, the nets, etc., yet to be determined. So I just wanted to present you with a little bit more information in terms of the rec department. Just in the few short months that we run the program here at Consolidated, meaning from November to generally April, but it was cut short this year. So this year we generated over $7,000 in that short period of time. And that's at just $2 a time frame. So that represents a lot of people playing a lot of times. You can do the math and see there's a lot of people that are interested in playing the sport. The other piece of that is how it, dependent upon timing and what have you, it wouldn't take too many years before we'd be able to pay off that capital expense through revenues. So as noted in your packets, the first step is to introduce the concept to you and the sport. So we wanted to do that tonight. I've already explained to him that under the current economic climate and what's going on, I was confident that we're not going to be able to do anything right now. But as I said, this is step one, to introduce it to you. After that, it would undoubtedly be put in the capital plan. We'd have to consult with the other town departments, such as Public Works, and that would include sewer and highway, planning and codes, to see about their concerns if we were to use that site at 49 Beachwood. And then obviously just other development of the project and the scope. When we had our department head meeting yesterday morning, somebody asked about the potential to just expand the basketball court at Rotary Park at Beachwood as an alternative. So I went down and did some measurements there. I don't have any cost estimates, but it's all very preliminary anyway. I did meet with Werner today in terms of how feasible that is and whether or not it could be accomplished. The existing basketball courts, if you were to play pickleball across it, which we have painted 2 courts in there actually, if you play across it, it's just large enough for the game itself without having enough backcourt. You have to stand behind the back service line, and there just isn't enough space there to make it a safe alternative as it currently exists. So what we were thinking as an alternative is to put essentially add 8 feet to the depth to give you a safer area front and back. And Werner explained to me that it is, Rotary Park was approved by the planning board, so it would have to go back to the planning board. And they've got a little bit of a backlog now because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so his estimation was this might be a project in the fall or even next spring, or, depending upon the funding. So that's kind of the introduction to it. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know Bill is also available and is happy to answer questions as well.
I got just a couple questions. The basketball really isn't used an awful lot, is it? Or is it used at all? Do you see people? I've never seen anyone out there play basketball.
Well, it's funny that when I went yesterday to take the measurements and check things out, there were people using each of the baskets and extra people that were waiting to get onto the court. So
okay,
while most people will tell you that it isn't used a lot, I can honestly tell you that most times that I go over, there's at least somebody on that court.
Yeah, my kids used to use.
Yeah, so
They
I
were-
think that if we were to use that court, one of the big issues will be that, we're not taking away basketball. It could still be played, but it would mean we'd have to schedule. There'd be times when they'd play pickleball and times when it'd be open for basketball.
Right. I would think something like that would be more real considering the times that, you guys would like to have it. I understand as soon as possible. But I think taking on, this is my opinion, taking on the Prop 49 Beachwood, that's a big project, I think. But I'm all in favor of the pickleball courts. We can figure it out how we can do it. But that's me. What about you guys? Bill, would you like to say something? You've been quiet.
Sure.
This is mainly your baby, so.
I'm not really sure how to do this. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I've been playing pickleball for 7 or 8 years. We play it 5 months out of the year in Florida. In Naples, there are over 200 courts. I think it's a great sport for adults. I've played with people all the way up to 90s. I don't know why Pat stopped playing, because he doesn't look old enough to stop. But I mean, I have no problem finding places to play. Unfortunately, they just don't happen to be in the town that I live in. And I think it's a great opportunity. And like Carol said, there's a lot of people who play a consolidated school in the wintertime just for a few hours a day, and they pulled in $7,000 of revenue. The Waterhouse Center, which is one of the most terrible venues around, they pulled in $11,000. I set up a program at Excel Sports in Saco. We started years ago with 4 courts. We're up to 6 courts. And even then, we can only play 3 hours a morning, 5 days a week. So there's a tremendous demand for it. Just, it'd be nice for Kennebunkport to offer it to their residents. I've looked at the situation down at Beachwood Park. I don't know if it's that viable. By the time you expand the courts, and I don't think 8 feet is enough. Ideally, the minimum size of a court is 30 by 60. So the court itself is 20 by 44, but you need at least 6 feet behind the baselines. And then you'd still have to put the fence in. You'd still have to expand the court. Ideally, you would have permanent nets, so that would preclude basketball. So, I'm just looking for, if you guys got alternatives as far as where it could be done, it would be great. But I thought the most logical site would be 49 Beachwood because it isn't used. It's a perfect lot. It's accessible. It's visible. There's more than enough space to put 4 pickleball courts plus tons of parking. The issues, another issue with Beachwood is the parking. I was there the other day. There were 2 people playing basketball at one end of the court, 1 person at the other end of the court. And there were just 4 people playing singles basketball, and that was 7 cars. And I think you'd be lucky to get 20 cars on that in that parking lot. And with even 3 or 4 pickleball courts, you'd be surprised at the amount of use that it would get. Just something that I think the town of the Kennebunkport should do for its elderly population. As you know, I don't know what the entire package that Carol submitted was, but 40% of the town is over 65 years old. And I don't think that there's a single sport that is out there that would be more beneficial to the elderly population than pickleball.
Point well taken. Is there have Bill? Are you all set?
Am I all set?
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you have anything else to add or?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I thank you very much for bringing this to our attention, and we're going to be looking into it. And Sheila, I see Sheila's hand.
All right.
Hi, Sheila.
It's just do.
Thank you, Bill. Go ahead.
I think having the pickleball courts is a great idea, and I agree with Bill 100%. However, to take away the basketball courts, which allows our young people something to do during, even if it wasn't COVID-19, it's always good for them to have a place to go and something to do. I hate to take away basketball. Maybe we can progress on the pickleball courts the way Carol had introduced it, by using Beachwood, 49 Beachwood, and just preparing for it.
49 Beachwood? Yeah.
Or whatever the address was.
Yeah. 49.
Beachwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just hate taking away the basketball courts.
Well, this is just, we're in a discussion process,
Right.
so we'll get there at some point, that's for sure. Okay, well, thanks a lot. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for bringing it forward. Thank you, Carol.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Carol.
Explaining
Thank
it.
you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
You too.
Hey, Carol. Okay, item number 8, authorization of square parking lot budget.
So Dave, can you bring Jen Lord forward?
Hi, Jen.
Hello,
Hi.
Jen.
So we have before you tonight three enterprise fund budgets, and the first one is the Dock Square parking lot budget. Jen, do you want to just give them an overview?
Sure. With the shortened season this year, we have lowered our revenue. Even though the fee went up, our season's going to be a little shorter. The wages are up about $20,000 because we moved the Dock Square officers to this budget. And let's see. So of course that in turn increased the Social Security. And if they work more than 720 hours, they do qualify for main PERS. So we have to put that in. Electricity, everything else looks the same. The credit card fees has gone up. We are now in talks with them to see if we can get that lowered.
What are they charging us per item?
Well, it changes depending on which card's being used. They all have their own fee.
Right.
So if you use a Discover, it might be, say, maybe 20 cents versus MasterCard might be 15 cents and Visa might be 35. So it depends what card people are using.
Do we take American Express?
Yes,
Yeah.
we also take American Express.
Which is the
Part of-
high.
Part of the reason that the fees also went up is because we have seen an increase in the amount of people using credit cards.
Yes.
So when we first started taking automated payments, I would say it was 40% credit card, 60% cash. And we tended to continue to have a large amount of cash because the average fee is $6. And then we've seen that increase to 50-50. And this past year, Jen just looked at it and it was about 70% credit and 30% cash. And we anticipate that will go up even more this year as people aren't handling cash as much as they used to. And I think in the first few weeks, a couple weeks it's been open, Jen was commenting today that they haven't had to change the cash out at all.
Yeah.
So what about debit cards? Do we take debit cards?
It's going to be a credit, like a credit card.
Okay.
You take
I
a
don't- you-
debit card, but it just uses it as a credit
Pinless.
transaction. Yeah.
Right. It's
Okay.
pinless.
Okay.
Do you have
Is
any
that
other?
it? I don't have any other questions. What about the board?
I've got a question for
Go
Jen.
ahead, Pat.
When you, on the page 24, you show a deficit of 42,000 roughly. Was this calculated at the $4 an hour or the $3 an hour? For parking fees.
Right. So that would probably be about $4 an hour.
Okay,
Yeah, we're hoping that it's going to be more, but we're trying to be conservative.
sure. Okay.
Yeah, we've used the parking lot 3 times already this summer and have had no problem getting parked. It's just not being used like it, well, we don't have the people.
Right. Hopefully we will.
Yeah, I did that 2 weeks ago too.
Yeah, I know. So more questions for Jen? Her motion.
Motion to accept as written.
I have a first. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a first and second. Sheila made the first, made the second. I'm gonna go and do a roll call. Sheila,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Jen, on this one.
Thank you.
Don't go away.
I won't.
I think. Item 9, authorization of recreation special revenue budget.
And Dave, can you bring Carol forward?
Hey, Carol.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. Long time no see.
I know, huh?
So as far as the recreation special revenue budget is concerned, we're presenting for your consideration tonight a balanced budget at $131,859. And the big difference in that compared to previous years is really pretty much in the program expense and in the summer salaries, because as you probably all know, we are not running our summer day camp this summer. So all of those salaries and Social Security and all of that other stuff has been eliminated from this budget, except for 2.5 weeks that will cover training time and the first week of camp, when we hopefully are able to run a summer camp for 2021. So that's the biggest change that you'll see in there. We dropped summer salaries by almost $30,000, and then we dropped the program events line as well, because that's all the other programs that we do, and they're all being affected by this right now. So that dropped by about $10,000. Nope, sorry, by about $32,000. The amount that we are being asked to put into the general fund to cost share for our salaries, et cetera, it also dropped by about $20,000 down to a $60,000 expectation. So that's where we're at, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Carol?
No, it's going to be a tough year.
It
I don't see
is.
any. I don't see any questions. So thank you, Carol.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for hearing it, and wish me luck, I guess.
Yeah, wish us all luck.
We'll all work together, as they say.
Right.
So I'd like to have a motion, if I may.
So moved.
Second,
Sheila makes the motion. Pat seconds it, and I'm going to do a roll call. Sheila?
Right?
Pat?
aye.
Aye.
And Adam says aye, motion carries. Thank you, Carol. Oh, she's gone. Item 10, authorize of government wharf budget. Who is going to do that? Jen? You're going to do the government wharf budget?
Laura, you want me to go down through it? Okay. So after talking with Chris Welch about the government wharf budget, we've pretty much kept everything the same. The big difference this year is going to be the capital equipment expense. We brought that down so we could have a balanced budget. So we have 18 lobstermen, 7 commercial, and 1 float access for revenues for people that we would be billing.
So I'm not sure what a float, what do you mean? What, somebody's renting or is that, say, float access? Is that revenue? Is that a revenue thing?
Yes.
Float access is if I'm gonna offload and use the hoist, so I might be a tuna fisherman.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, got it.
Yep.
Any questions for the Jen?
Did you want to become a government wharf user? Should we bill you, or?
You can bill me all you want. Trying to collect it's gonna be another thing. It's like getting money for that motorhome. Oh, shit. Okay, so no questions? So let's move along. Can I have a motion?
The budget?
Who, Mike, did you make that motion?
I did.
Okay. I have I haven't a second yet.
I did.
Okay, Sheila made a second. Okay, roll call. Sheila?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Ellen says aye, motion carries. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Jen has one more for you. The next one.
Okay.
The quick claim deed.
Quick claim deed?
Oh,
Okay.
right.
Yes.
So authorize a quick claim deed for Jessica Hughes, item number 11.
Yes. We've been trying to track her down and we finally got a hold of her. So we collected 4 years of sewer and 2 years of real estate, which includes a prepay guesstimate for the sewer for this year and real estate for this year because she paid after April 1. So she paid over $13,000 and brought her balance up to date. So we're requesting a quitclaim deed to be signed.
Okay. So any questions for Jen? No?
What-
How about a motion? What?
I was just gonna
Report.
say, what's the problem that, how come nobody heard from her prior to this? Any explanation?
Apparently it was something to do with her mail. She has more than one mailing address and she gets mail in multiple locations. And
Okay.
so now we have both addresses. So we're gonna go from there. And I have her phone number, so something comes up, we can call her.
Yeah, that's a chunk of change to spend all at once.
Yeah.
So who's gonna make a motion?
I'll motion that we authorize a quitclaim deed for Jessica Hughes.
Sheila makes the first motion. Is there a second?
Yep, second.
Seconds it. Okay, roll call. Sheila,
Right?
Pat,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan's aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Item 12, authorized bid from Crete work at wastewater plant and use of $5,000 carry forward from public work to wastewater.
So Dave, can you
Chris.
bring forward Chris Simeone and Mike Claus?
Hey, Chris.
Good evening.
Chris,
How are you?
good so far.
Just waiting for Mike to come on.
Maybe we can just allow Mike to talk since he's being challenged to come forward. Oh, there we go. He disappeared. He must be coming in. I'm gonna allow him to talk.
Okay.
Mike, can you unmute yourself? Mike Claus, can you unmute yourself? Why don't you go ahead, Chris?
Yeah, thank you.
So just a little bit of a background as to how we ended up here. So this is for the generator project. This project in particular was put out twice to bid prior to March. Both times we had 0 responsive bidders. Our engineer, Corey Lewis, contacted a few of the electricians to find out why they wouldn't submit bids on completing this work. And the feedback that we got was they didn't want to be bothered with the civil work, meaning the site work, the foundation, the soil compaction, etc. What Corey had suggested that maybe Public Works could do would take over the civil part of this project to move it along. In doing so, we secured, or at least we solicited bids with 6 different concrete companies. As you can see, we only had 2 responsive bidders. The other 4 declined to bid based on the amount of work that they had. They're very busy. So CFC Foundations was the low bidder at $13,500. I know that the quote that you saw in your packet was $13,750. The $250 discrepancy came about. I called the owner of the company, spoke with him, and in an attempt to try to reduce our costs, asked if there was anything that Public Works could do, either from a standpoint of setup or breakdown and cleanup of the job to save us some money. He advised it wasn't, I did explain that this isn't what we had budgeted for the project based on what the engineer thought it was going to be. In good faith, he did lower his quote $250 to the $13,500. So based on the lack of responsive bidders and this being the lowest quote that we received, we're recommending that we award the contract to him.
So how big is the pad?
So it's 8 by 21.5, and it's actually not a pad. It's going to be a full foundation.
Oh, okay. That makes it a little more understandable.
And there's also, I'm sorry.
It's still quite high, isn't it?
It is. There is also, aside from the foundation, there is some duct work also that has to be encased in concrete. So all the conduit that leaves the generator and goes over to the automatic transfer switch, all that has to be encased in concrete. And there's also a smaller pad for the automatic transfer switch.
Is there any questions for Chris?
Not for me.
No?
I'm good.
So, Chris, this is going to be a two-part motion, is it not? Okay. So I'd like to have a motion if somebody go ahead and
I will,
make a motion.
I will move to authorize bid for concrete work at the wastewater plant in the amount of $13,500 given to the CFC Foundation Company.
And the $5,000 to be carried forward to use it.
Second bid,
That's part of your motion.
That'd
motion.
be part of the motion, yes. You have to include that $5,000 carryover
Are we going to
being
discuss,
included. I can't hear you, Sheila.
are we going to discuss it first?
We can,
5,000? Is it?
or
I thought that was going to be the second motion.
So we can make them two separate motions. So do you want to just do the first?
Well, that's what I thought you said we had to do.
I
no, we
just
can
need,
include-
we need approval for both, but either way, as long as both pieces get voted on, yes.
So you can put this in your motion, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, then that's what I'll do. I'll authorize bid for concrete work at wastewater plant and use the $5,000 carry forward from Public Works to wastewater. And the company we're using is CFC Foundations, and the bid is $13,500.
Okay, I have a first, Sheila,
Second.
and Pat for a second. Roll call, Sheila? Sheila?
Aye. I have to speak
Pat?
up.
Yes, aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan says aye, motion carries. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Mike, wherever you are.
Mike is having technology challenges, he told me.
I have those every day. Okay. Thanks a lot, Chris. Item 13, accept the donation to Nurses General Account in memory of Nancy Buchanan.
You have two.
We have two, actually. Carol McCarthy, Richie donated $25, and Lori Lundergan donated $25.
So moved.
I have a
second.
first and a second. Thank you, Pat, and thank you very much for the donations. Very well welcome, indeed, actually. Item 14, other business. MMA, go
We
ahead.
have-
What?
Got a vote?
Oh, excuse me. Right. Sorry. Roll call vote. Sheila,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Alan says aye, motion carries. Okay, under other business, we have two. MMA Legislative Policy Committee nomination. I think that I would like to nominate Lori Smith.
I will,
That's a motion. And I first, that's me, and is there a second?
I seconded it.
Okay, and Sheila seconded it. So let's vote. Sheila,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and Alan says aye. Motion carries. Congratulations, you're another job.
Well, now
Hopefully.
everybody in our district will have to vote, so we'll see how that goes.
So, okay, B, critical dates for the November 3rd, 2020 election.
So I'm gonna bring Tracy O'Rourke forward again to talk about these.
Hi again.
Hello again.
So I know it's hard to believe that we have to start thinking about November's election, but because there's only a 5-month difference between the usually June, this year July election and the November election, we have to start planning before we even finish this one. So in order to meet the deadline, especially with the summer meeting schedule that you usually follow, we would have to have, we being Lori and I, paperwork for any proposed ordinance changes by June 26th, which is a Friday. So anybody who has anything, any committee members, department heads, anybody who has any changes to any ordinances will need to let us know by that June 26th deadline. And then after that, at the July 9th meeting, we'll have a presentation to the Board of Selectmen explaining what the proposed ordinance changes might be. And then we will send the proposals to legal review and then come back at your August 13th meeting for public discussion and input from the Board of Selectmen. And then if there are any changes that were required by the town attorney, those will be presented at that time as well. And then if we stay on schedule, September 10th, we'll sign the warrant. We'll set a public hearing date, and then we'll just carry on and do our public hearing and post the warrant in the specific time frame that's required. Does anybody have any questions about that timeline? Or do you know of anything that might be coming forward?
So the only thing I had talked to Tracy about was whether we wanted some emergency order authority during the pandemic. That was a challenge for the board. And so I have asked Amy to draft some language for your consideration. But that's the only thing right now that we have for the November warrant on a local level.
Okay.
Unless you guys have other thoughts or.
No.
I have a thought, bring it up later to you. Okay, thanks, Tracy.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So, other than this, Pat,
No, sir, nothing.
Mike,
No, I have nothing.
Sheila,
Not a thing. Happy Flag Day. Flag Day is coming up on Sunday.
Special
and
day.
what's that?
It's a special day.
And I have nothing, but that the town manager does. Lori,
I have nothing else.
cut it out. No, nothing?
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna write this one down in the books. Okay,
I'll make a
Very good.
motion to approve the June 11th treasurer's warrant.
first, that seconds it. Okay, Sheila,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye, motion carries.
Move to adjourn.
15. Sheila moves to adjourn. No second.
Second.
Pat seconds it. Okay, Sheila,
That is in memory of Stuart, because he was always the first one to do that.
always was, yeah. He was quick.
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Aye.
Alan says aye, motion carries, and thank you all very much. And have a good evening.
You
You
too.
Good
too.
night, everybody.